Hello and welcome to BBC News this hour. I'm Kevin Otieno. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on world leaders to respond after a video emerged apparently showing a Ukrainian soldier being beheaded by a Russian serviceman. He is quoted by the BBC as saying, "Everyone must react. Every leader. Do not wait for this to be forgotten," he said in a video address. Ukraine's SBU security service said it was investigating the war crime. The Kremlin said the video was awful, but its authenticity had to be checked as well as who was behind it. The grainy and extremely graphic video appears to have been filmed on a mobile phone and possibly during the summer months. It shows a man in military uniform wearing a yellow armband, frequently worn as identifying symbols by Ukrainian soldiers. The perpetrator and other men visible in the clip have white bands on their legs, which Russian soldiers are known to wear as a means of identification. They can also be heard to speak Russian, although that is not conclusive as many Ukrainians speak Russian too. Tennessee's Republican governor has signed an executive order to strengthen background checks for purchase of guns and has urged lawmakers to pass legislation tightening gun laws. Governor Bill Lee's order comes in the wake of the Nashville school shooting that left 6 people, including 3 children, dead last month. He is quoted as saying, "This is our moment to lead." The state has some of the most lax gun laws in the U.S. The shooting at a private Christian school reignited nationwide protests for gun control, including from 2 Democratic black state lawmakers who were expelled last week for joining the protests at Tennessee's House of Representatives. Nashville officials voted to reinstate one of the lawmakers, Justin Jones, as a temporary representative earlier this week. Officials are set to vote on Wednesday on whether the second lawmaker, Justin Pearson, can also reclaim his seat temporarily. The executive order signed by Mr. Lee on Tuesday attempts to strengthen background checks by mandating that new criminal activity be reported to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation within 72 hours. It also requires the Bureau to examine the current process of purchasing guns in the state. Mr. Lee also urged Tennessee lawmakers to pass legislation known as red flag laws, which allow authorities to temporarily seize firearms from people who are found to be a threat to themselves or others. The Republican governor said more action was needed to protect the people of Tennessee. More than 100 people are feared to have been killed in Tuesday's airstrike by the Myanmar military, one of the deadliest so far in the civil war. Survivors told the BBC they have collected at least 80 bodies, but expect the toll to rise further. The United Nations has condemned the attack, which targeted a village in the northwest Sagaing region. The military has increasingly used airstrikes against their opponents since seizing power in February 2021. The spokesman for the military junta, General Zhao Min-tun, told state television, "Yes, we launched the airstrike." He said they had chosen to attack Pazi Gye because the village was holding a ceremony to mark the opening of an office for their local volunteer defense force. These anti-coup militias, known as People's Defense Forces or PDFs, are waging an armed campaign against the military in various parts of Myanmar. Communities in Sagaing have put up some of the strongest opposition to military rule. With so many army convoys being ambushed now on the roads, the junta is using air power more widely, targeting symbols of defiance of its rule. This includes schools and health clinics. Sometimes entire villages are destroyed in a scorched earth campaign, which it hopes will eventually exhaust the tenacious resistance it is facing in much of the country. You're listening to the latest BBC News with me, Kevin Otieno. For the first time, New Zealand will see an equal number of men and women in its cabinet. This comes after Northland MP Willow John Prime, who is of, do we say Willow Jean? Willow Jean Prime, who is of Maori descent, was promoted as a cabinet minister. And someone here is quoted as saying, of course, that's the Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, that it is nice to have a cabinet that reflects the New Zealand population. The country elected one of the world's most diverse parliaments in 2020. It has the highest number of female lawmakers in the OECD and a number of Maori as well as LGBTQ plus MPs. Alright, so that's good. From Wednesday, that's yesterday, because I'm making this recording on Thursday, the 13th of April, there are 10 women and 10 male members in the cabinet. The Prime Minister said the decision to appoint Miss Prime as a cabinet minister was based on a combination of her skills and existing portfolios. Ms. Prime holds the conservation and youth ministerial portfolios. Ms. Prime's promotion also takes Maori representation in New Zealand's cabinet to a record of 6 ministers. Mr. Hipkins, who became New Zealand's Prime Minister in January, has promoted 3 women to the top level of government in the past 3 months. Jenny Amagini Anderson and Barbara Edmonds, both based in New Zealand capital Wellington, entered the cabinet in February. On Monday, Mr. Hipkins also said that there are now more female than male ministers overall, if ministers outside the cabinet are included in the count. The 2020 general elections saw 58 women elected into New Zealand's 120-strong House. About 1 in 10 of the country's parliamentarians identify as LGBTQ+, while 25 are Maori. And finally, there's a story here which, of course, I'm certain should intrigue you. Not so much, but of course it involves royalty. Prince Harry will come to the King's coronation, but Meghan, that's his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, will not be attending, Buckingham Palace has said. There had been speculation about whether the couple had traveled to the coronation, but it has now emerged that Prince Harry will attend alone. Prince Harry will join more than 2,000 guests at Westminster Abbey on the 6th of May. It will be the first time he will have been seen with the royal family since his bombshell memoir, Spare. Prince Harry's book vividly revealed the depth of disagreements with other members of the royal family, and he has since spoken of feeling different from the rest of his family. The decision for Meghan to reject the invitation will be seen as part of these ongoing unresolved family tensions. Alright, so that marks the end of the latest BBC updates as brought to you by Kevin Otieno from Rosinga Island. Thank you for listening, or thank you for watching.